This college football playoff picks final four edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let her ride.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Oh, playoffs.
All
of them are here.
Yeah.
All of them are here. We're fully aroused as football fans. This is the weekend that we have been. We talked about this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday stretch at the beginning of the season. Sean, we said warn the family. You have semi-final college football. You have super wild card weekend.
It really, Thursday.
Talk about a human centipede.
Thursday is great, but it's the appetizer because it sets up for Friday, which sets up for super wild card weekend. I mean, Thursday to Monday, we have high stakes, must win and get in, lose, you're done football. And it could not be better. Joining us on the line from the college experience, Colby Dant, aka Pick Dundee. What's happening, Colby?
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Indeed. I mean, we got to start with some touting because from our last show, I'm going to do 6-0 on the locks. Everyone hit our locks. Colby hit his locks, dogs, and teases. Our consensus plays were 6-2 ATS. And I mean, damn, were we close to cashing the dream of Arizona State winning that game. What a great game by Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo won whatever their version of the MVP was. And if you recall, I gave out Illinois, Arizona State money line parlay, which god damn, that would have been a sweet hit. Didn't get home. Colby, what was your, what were the big takeaways from last week's episode? College football playoff. Obviously, we hit on a ton of bowl winners as well, but Ohio State put it on Oregon. Notre Dame took care of business there in the second half against Michigan. Any big takeaways? And God, so close to Arizona State.
Notre Dame against Georgia, buddy. But
what did I say?
You said Michigan.
It's
Same difference. The result would have been the same.
They're both in football.
I'm just looking at all the green I've been given away from the all the way back to really week 14. Every single lock dog tease bonus is pretty much fire, absolute fire. Did you guys call the fire department on me yet?
I mean, I know Colby's a humble man, but last 7 weeks, Colby is 12-2 with his locks. Also, I'm looking at the dogs. You are 5-2 on those are moneyline dogs. So that, and they're, 475s in there, a 3-1 from last week's show. You had, who'd you have? You had Illinois on the money line, right, Colby?
I did. And it look, normally I drink like Costco water.
Yeah.
I went out and got the Deer Park with all these winnings. All right.
Wow.
I mean, it's the
Treat
Deer Park.
yourself.
You know what I mean? I'm feeding the
Is
deer
that good?
like Schwarzenegger in Commando. Remember the beginning of Commando? He's just like feeding a deer with his daughter. That's me.
Kramer, any big takeaways from the games?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously fairly comical that the only remaining SEC team is
A Big 12 team.
Texas.
Yeah,
I mean Colby kind of predicted this one, and then you have Notre Dame, who I think people are going to realize if the home games matter, and Notre Dame has this clear path to a home game every year. Is that even better than the buys? The buys were not very effective. All
Call
the
me
teams.
Call me crazy, but isn't it better to be independent because they don't share it with the conference? I was reading like, $12 million to Texas. They have to divide that up in the SEC. And then it's like, $12 million for Penn State. They're going to divide it up with the Big Ten. Notre Dame, $12 million for themselves.
And what I think is going to be funny, just
and Notre Dame, the Notre Dame coaching gig, don't you think it's like a sweet job right now because the way it's set up, if they have like a decent season, they're almost automatically going to be in the playoff every time because they don't have to deal with the conference, right?
What I think is going, well, obviously this started because Notre Dame could be by themselves because they had their own TV contract. Like that's basically what conferences are for. But at some point, if you're a program like say Texas, who has done this before effectively with the Big Ten or with the the Longhorn network, why wouldn't you like? What are you gaining by being in the new world of the college football? What are you gaining by having a conference?
Yeah,
really, what are you gaining?
And I know they kind of went out of their way to not punish teams that were playing in their conference championship game, but they did. But kind of.
I'll explain why. It's very simple. Like it's low bar stuff. You would think they would have figured this out, but they play in a conference championship game in a week where most of the other teams that won't have the bye aren't playing. So you're effectively giving those teams a bye. And then you're giving the teams that win the championship the same amount of rest to their game. And oh, by the way, your playoff is like 10 games, 10 days apart anyway.
It doesn't seem like an accident that no conference championship winners are here in the final. If there's something I didn't expect in the transformation of college football that I'm now very intrigued by, like these conferences the conferences are not far behind the NCAA in my mind. What are these schools benefiting from having a conference? When are if they figure that
the TV
out,
contracts,
of course. Yeah. But now in a modern world, it wouldn't be difficult for say Colorado and Coach Prime to do their own deal, because you know what, a TV
Coach
network,
Prime having his own TV network would be pretty hilarious.
Imagine if Colorado played on Netflix. Fucking all their games are on Netflix. You don't think that's coming? So what is the conference adding? They need to figure this shit out. So you either need to which I think what this is going to result in is you're going to kill the conference championship game, and you probably should.
I don't think they will because it does too much of a TV rating. It does such a huge draw. The TV execs own the fucking sport, and essentially in a way, FBS at least, and they draw huge numbers. So, I mean, look, I think they should delete them. You know what I mean? But they're not going to, and another thing is I think they're going to struggle with ticket sales, but the TV rating's so strong. Who cares about ticket sales? You've seen this. You've seen this before in college athletics or something with the Miami Hurricanes or something where it doesn't really matter how many people show up in their stadium as long as it draws a good TV number.
I think that's true for some of these schools, but I would love to see the revenue generated by that Penn State home game in State College as a percentage of what they would normally be generating right now. Like this is a massive nut, and especially Penn State shares the money, right? So how much are they able to generate locally with a home game? How much are they really getting out of the TV money? And again, a team like Penn State, why do they need a conference to have a TV deal?
Well, they were independent for forever until the 90s, and
conferences made sense. It's just like how like having fucking delegates to vote for us made sense when people traveled on horseback. This is where
electoral college is in the sites.
Who's playing QB for them?
They're more of a party school, electoral college. They'll let anyone in. George Washington, huge pot guy. He was, so he was an RA, but he was like a cool RA. He'd let you smoke weed. I saw someone tweeted. I was cracking up. It was like right around the holidays, and he tweeted home for the holidays, back to the fundamentals, and it was like a bath towel at blocking the bottom crack of a bedroom door to prevent weed smell from coming out. And I was just like,
sock on the door.
Yeah. To me, my all-time weed smoking thing was You got a now maybe some of the I feel like weed's so open now, but I actually went to jail for weed at Penn State. Hilarious story. Well, not that hilarious, but smoking weed in a dorm room. They fucking called the police. Narc City.
Gotta watch out.
The move is you get a paper towel and then you put a dryer sheet. Yep. You tape a dryer sheet at the end. That was always for our younger audience in dorm rooms. A good little hack there.
And what you thought you were doing was making the smoke not smell like smoke effectively. Yeah, I think if we were to try that today, we would find that it was not as effective as we thought it was back then.
But also too now with like the vapes, you can just smoke a weed vape anywhere and the thing's gone.
Yeah, for the most part, I think a keen nose can kind of smell when.
Yeah, but it doesn't hang around like normal pot smoke back in the day. Colby, what were you saying before I interrupted with my great reference?
Oh no, I think I was going to talk about something about smoking weed in a house with parents in there, but I forget exactly my point. But I'll say going back to football, man, I thought it's very great to see how just in general. We called for this. I feel like where the SEC has been very quiet after a lot of shit talk. And
well, it's funny they were talking so much shit, and then Texas does make it, but they almost lost to Arizona State, and the SEC doesn't even really want to claim Texas yet. It's very funny.
Well, it's a Big 12 roster, so it's like, wait a second. Yeah. I thought the Big 12 wasn't good. But you just took a Big 12 team and go through the roster, dude. All of them were playing in the Big 12 last year, for the most part. I mean, I think one of the guys was in the Pac-12, but it's pretty hilarious to see just in general. And we called for this with the NIL and the transfer portal, and I think it's just the same reason the SEC is starting to become really good at basketball is the same reason the Big 10, Big 12. And ACC are on the same level playing field in football with them.
Yeah, everyone's on TV. Everyone pays. Money's green. I mean,
someone had a great. It was like a political cartoon or something about the SEC's demise, and it's now that the South has to start paying for labor, everything falls apart, which was just an all-time. I'm reading a Civil War book, so it really hit home then. But yeah, I mean. We called it. I feel like Colby was the, old man yelling at the clouds, being like, "Hey, once everyone can start paying people, these perennial powerhouses are going to go away." And the irony is, Alabama was always paying these kids, but now that the money's out in the open, Alabama doesn't really have maybe the money to compete with some of these other like major institutions.
What do you mean? It's a public school. I'm sure there's plenty of money in Alabama to go around.
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna hear about some crazy fucking like Brett Favre scandals about Alabama siphoning off money that was set for like food so they could sign a 5-star linebacker.
And Shane Gillis roasting Saban was pretty funny as well. Like, you guys paid players, right? Like, if you're Nick Saban, who cares now? Like,
he did duck it. And then he ran an NFL program. And it's like, okay, well, the NFL pays players. You know what I mean?
No, they did. He ran an NFL program where they got the best players. They paid them the most. Yep. And they won a bunch of games. So it kind of is what it is. All right, we're going to get into, we got 2 games to discuss here on the Final Four college football playoffs. And we are talking playoffs, not only NFL, but also college football. You bet we are. And you can get in on the action over at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. And you can score big over at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Brian, we love our TDs segment, First, Any, and Many. Super fun. And I'm sure we'll be doing that for Super Wild Card Weekend. Ready to get your first bet? Try betting something as simple as a player to score. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. And of course, they also obviously have NFL touchdown scores, but they also have for college football right now.
Sean, yes, Drew Aller, first touchdown, 16-1.
That's a pretty interesting price.
Notre Dame defense, 17-1. That's interestingly short.
That's a low price for a playoff game for such a.
We're first touchdown sharps. We are not dabbled in these college streets though.
Right now over on DraftKings, Notre Dame laying the 2.5, Ohio State laying the 6. And again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code SGP. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. And now let's kick it to the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467.
I got it. I fixed it.
Oh, okay.
I made that same mistake on the college football show.
All right.
It's one of those things that will just infinitely speak into a singularity.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Good times, Kramer. What do we got for the early game, the Thursday game?
And real quick, in the game we're about to talk about, which is the Orange Bowl, Penn State taking on Notre Dame. This is on Thursday night, 4:30 p.m. here on the West Coast. And by the way, no touchdown was 100-1 in this one. If you're thinking it's maybe a defensive battle, as people have highlighted, we are without the top 4 seeds. Pretty funny if you think about it, because the playoff last year was only the top 4 seeds. Awkward. Notre Dame laying 1.5 here. I know this number has bounced around a bit. -132 on the money line, +110 for the Nittany Lions. 45.5 is the total. My initial thought is that this is an incredibly high total. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. And I'm curious to hear what Colby says before I make my official pick.
No, I'm with you on the total. I think that's the first thing that jumps out is 44.5.
It's 45.5. It's very high.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you like here, Colby?
I like the Irish, but this is probably, I think, out of all the games in the playoffs, this has probably been the hardest one, because to me, what I kept coming down to is I think Notre Dame will have a little bit of the crowd edge because there's so many New Yorkers that are retired in Florida and they're all Notre Dame fans.
But there's a lot of Pennsylvania, Jersey people also down there in Florida. I think it'll be a true 50-50 or close. And I know, but Jared over on VSiN, friend of the program, Fox Sports guy, he's going to the game. I know a lot of Penn State fans that are traveling to that game. So I think it'll be fairly split crowd wise. That's my take.
You're probably right then. But to me, like the real thing was, I just thought, who do I trust more, Riley Leonard or Drew Aller? Riley Leonard to me just does not. He's just a very smart quarterback with the ball. Rarely turns it over. And even if you do look at those turnovers, a lot of it's not even his fault sometimes. And then Marcus Freeman. I think I trust Marcus Freeman. Out coached Kirby Smart the other night, and I kind of think James Franklin in a big game. I know he's 1-2, but I go back to that SMU game. SMU was up, Penn State was up 14-0 on 2 pick sixes. Yeah. And he went for a 4th and 1 on his own 19-yard line, didn't get it. And SMU was right back in the game. The only problem is they went down to the 4-yard line and threw an interception. But it was a baffling coaching decision from your own 19-yard line to do that up 14 at home. So I still think Marcus Freeman has proved to me that he's the coach I can trust more. Riley Leonard takes better care of the ball. I also believe Notre Dame's defense and Al Golden they have a slight edge on Penn State's defense. Although Penn State, if you're looking for the positive in it, I do think Penn State's more explosive. I think Andy Kotelnicki and both those running backs. Yeah, that would be the angle if you think Penn State can get this win. But I think the Irish are the more complete football team, and with the coach I can trust more.
But I mean, to me, the guy that they don't have any answer for is Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren, I think, is just going to eat in this game. And I would say that Penn State defense against Boise State, like they kept Genty in check. You know,
that game, like you really noticed Boise with the freshman quarterback. He didn't take any shots down the field. Like Riley Leonard has been in college for a long time. So like, and I know Notre Dame definitely is not, a team that stretches the ball down the field well, but I do think they'll have a little bit more confidence in throwing the ball down the field. And another thing is I also think Riley Leonard, the way he runs the ball can be an X factor.
No, I would say that like the reason I like Notre Dame versus Georgia is Riley Leonard. Like they made this big thing of like, hey, regular season, don't run the ball. Playoffs, fucking lay it all out, Riley Leonard. We don't care if you get lit up. I think that is concerning, but I don't know, man. This Penn State team, as a guy who follows Penn State, James Franklin, them winning this game, getting to the championship, and then getting destroyed once again by Ohio State. It just feels like it's already been written. I think this is, I think Penn State matches up good enough for them. Like I said, get the 2.5 over at DraftKings. I guess we're picking it here at 1.5.
That actually really might matter in this game.
No, I could see this being. I think both games should be pretty awesome. If you told me this was a 21-20 game, I would not be surprised at all. Feel like you can trust the Penn State kicking game. This is to your point, Colby. I'm taking Penn State mostly a little bit out of the homerism, but just the fact that you're getting a couple points here, and I expect this to be a close game. I don't love the idea of fading Notre Dame because Notre Dame has answered a lot of questions. You could certainly make a case, tougher path. What they did against Georgia, but the same thing you said about Penn State going up against a young quarterback, you could kind of make that case for Notre Dame against Georgia, although that Georgia quarterback played pretty well. I don't know. And last but not least for me, the rest disparity, the fact that Penn State is getting 3 extra days to prepare, 3 extra days to get rest. I think in a close game that could make a difference. So I am going with the Penn State Nittany Lions getting it done. Kramer, what are you doing? You seem to be thinking a lot over.
No, I mean Marcus. I think I'm with Colby, but when I saw the way that Marcus Freeman handled Cignetti at the center of the field against Indiana,
and he outcoached Kirby Smart.
He really did.
Hats off to him. That was, some of the play calling, management of the game, even the fact that you had the game moved, getting your team ready to play. Like they had a lot of stuff thrown at them, and I thought he did a great job coaching.
If Notre Dame wins, it could set up the Lou Holtz Bowl again. Ryan Day against Lou Holtz.
So I thought Marcus Freeman kind of turned a corner for me in terms of, all right, he a guy who talks shit to him, he wasn't just friendly to. He was like, fuck you. He beat the best. I think most people 12 months ago would have said the best coach in the game other than Nick Saban is Kirby Smart. They've been clearly the most impressive team in the playoff. I mean, they embarrassed Indiana to the point where they were, Indiana shouldn't have been in the playoff. Then they took care of a Georgia team that hasn't lost to too many teams in college football over the last 4 years. So I think Notre Dame has clearly been the most impressive team. If I'm picking a quarterback out of the remaining quarterbacks, it's Riley Leonard.
This is Drew Aller's year.
Riley Leonard grew up a Notre Dame fan. This is a dream situation for him. And I frankly, I think when I watched that Boise State game, I thought that Penn State controlled the game because Penn State was able to control that offensive line. The Notre Dame offensive line will be a completely different situation. And so sure, you may not have Ashton Jeanty, but you have an offensive line that's going to create a problem. I saw the chat mention it earlier that I do think Penn State could equally maybe bully the Notre Dame front.
Yeah.
In the run game.
Ooh, I don't know, man. Notre Dame's D line was fire against Georgia.
But if this turns into a shootout, which quarterback do I trust more? Riley Leonard. Which coach do I trust more? Marcus Freeman. I honestly, when I read that Franklin is African American. This is the first time there are 2 African American coaches, or there's going to be one in the national championship. I thought he was Italian American.
Really?
Yeah, I thought James Franklin was an Italian American. I was, if he made it, I was going to put him up for Italian American of the week. He was going to be.
I'll be honest.
Side by side with Jimmy G.
I had the same thing when they said. I thought he was maybe like Persian or something. When they said it guarantees one African American head coach of the championship, I googled that. I'm like, wait, really?
He's got that peanut butter. He's got that peanut butter skin that Jason Whitlock stays away from.
Not as good of a rack as Joy Taylor. Oh man, we can do an entire episode on the Joy Taylor FS1 scandal. Oh man, the Skip Bayless.
Oh man, thank God for the internet. But yeah, no, I think once again, like I said last week when the Notre Dame number stood out to me, I think the Notre Dame number stands out to me again. And so yeah. Smash it. This will be my lock.
Under is still the best play. Like under still the best play you can do. A turnover is going to be so huge in this game. Whoever does it, Notre Dame special teams. Go back to the Louisville game they almost lost. They blocked the kick for a touchdown last week. The kick return against Georgia and the offsides by them getting up there and getting Georgia to go offsides on that punt. Notre Dame special teams been fire this year. That could be the X factor.
Well, who do you think's benefiting from the weather or like the warmer climate? Either team, no difference.
I'm going to say Penn State probably because I do trust like Penn State with Tyler Warren and then with both running backs that are pretty damn good running backs. And the way Andy Kotelnicki can scheme up things, I do think they can stretch the field much better than the Irish. I think if you're looking for the angle why Penn State could win the game, Aller's got to play mistake-free football. But they got to hit the home run because I don't think Notre Dame doesn't really have a home run on offense. Like Penn State's got a home run. I know you could say Jeremiah Love had a 98-yard touchdown, but that was the longest run in Notre Dame, since like fucking Paul Horning or something. You know what I mean? Like
Rudy had 99 yards.
Yeah.
Am I crazy or does Warren have bad hands? Colby, you've watched a lot.
Tyler Warren, he's the greatest American there is right now. Are you fucking? Okay. I will not say one bad thing about this guy.
He's like Jeremy Shockey, kind of remember the blonde hair coming out of the back of the helmet.
The neck roll makes me think of Latimer from the program.
He's played fullback too earlier in this year. So I mean, he's. Smash! They should do a movie on him.
Once they realized this guy was like their offense.
He looks like a physical freak. Like Penn State often.
He's John Riggins. He is John Riggins.
We often see physical freaks at tight end from Penn State. It's a common thing. The neck roll helps, but he looks so freaking athletic and so freaking big. If there's just something about the way he catches the ball, I'm making a prediction. He's not going to have good hands at the next level.
All right. I'll fade you on that one.
Hands like feet, as they say.
Shout out to Terrell Furman in the chat, from the NBA Gambling Podcast, College Experience pregame show. He's saying he's betting all 4 teams to score a defensive TD. He's saying he's going to be up units by the end of the time.
I would say I'm going to be, pizza bet on the no touchdown in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
So Notre Dame no touchdown is plus 360. That Penn State is plus 390.
No touchdown in the game is 100-1.
No. I was reading off the defensive.
Defensive.
Like what the individual team defensive touchdowns are. They're like 360, 390.
They're crazy.
I mean that's crazy low. Like you almost. I don't mind.
I mean, compared to the wild card weekend prices, they're probably 50 to 100%
usually you're
more.
getting 5 to 6 to 1. The problem is if you hit one of those, you still, I guess you'll be up slightly, but you almost need to hit 2 for that to come home. Would be my only complaint. And same with the under. I agree with you guys. The under is the play total wise. The only thing scary is I haven't heard anyone make a case for the under, and totals are like that when the over, like when everyone's talking one side, like, oh, it's going to be this smash mouth game. And then it ends up like much like the Vikings Lions game the other night where everyone, oh, it's going to be crazy shootout. And then it ends up kind of being a dud there. All right. Before we get to the second game, of course, underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We got some fantasy projections to break down here.
Let's see it
for the college football semifinal, Final Four. What are we officially calling it?
It's college. It's Final Four.
Final Four, right?
Yeah, they should. I don't know why they're
Four?
leaning into it more. They're pretty stupid. They're pretty stupid. Like you should
we
market
love saying
that.
Final Four.
Yeah.
We love saying Final Four.
Colby, is there Tyler
I got
Warren,
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Tyler Warren higher a half rushing receiving touchdown. I know you guys are on the lower scoring angle, but he's just.
I'll take the higher. I'll take the higher.
He's money to get in.
Yeah.
He also has 68.5 receiving yards total, or 23.5 yards longest reception. I say you just play the touchdown. He's going to get one, right?
We think alike. I already had this, circled. I also think Drew Aller higher than a half interception makes a lot of sense.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see if I'm allowed to play
like
And and the final one I like.
Riley Leonard 47.5 rushing yards.
I mean, I think I would teeter towards the higher there.
Whoa!
Oh, wow, using the teeter word, that doesn't feel good. What, Colby? What is one you like for Notre Dame then?
Yeah, Notre Dame. I really because I was actually going to go to the Ohio State game, but
okay,
how about the lacrosse player? What's his number? The Faison, is it the lacrosse wideout? There's a really good lacrosse player for Notre Dame. He has been coming on. He's got 11 catches in the past 2 games. That dude is, to me, one of the reasons why Notre Dame's offense has been probably the most athletic it's been in some time, with both those running backs, and then a guy like him on the outside. What's his number? Do you have that in front of you?
Faison higher 3.5 receptions.
What about his yardage?
Yardage 40.5 receiving yards.
Give me that. Give me higher than that.
So Tyler Warren higher a half rushing receiving touchdown. Drew Aller, some are saying higher a half interception. I'm going to go lower. And then Jordan Faison higher 40.5 receiving yards. A $100 entry returns you 600. And of course, you get those deposit bonuses over at underdogfantasy.com when you use the promo code SGPN.
Last 3 games, Riley Leonard 12, 11, and 14 carries.
I mean,
against Georgia, he ran.
Well, you can always play
yards.
the rushing attempts too. That's always fun because you might get the garbage kneel down stuff.
Not being offered. They're onto it.
All right,
they're sharp. But the chat is telling me 47.5 is a low fantasy projection, so we would want to smash the higher. Smash! Cotton Bowl. We mentioned this at the top of the playoff coverage that if Texas had a path that would allow them to play the Final Four game at the Cotton Bowl, does not seem very fair. They're in Texas, although Ohio State, plenty of fans as well. But I would imagine this. I've been trying to think about this. Are the Ohio State fans back in on Ryan Day? Because now there's excitement and they see a path where they could actually be playing for a national championship, maybe against Penn State of all teams. Or are they still mad at Ryan Day? And is it not until the championship that they'll truly show up in numbers? Colby, Ohio State laying 5.5 behind enemy lines here in Texas, -235 on the money line. Texas +190. They're calling this the Quinn Ewers Bowl, 53.5. Colby, I mean,
is it a revenge game if you never played for the team?
Gotta check though.
He stole $1.5 million from them, right?
Check.
I mean, if I'm Quinn Ewers and I have a sense of humor, I warm up with a ski mask on. Just instantly get in the Ohio State. I mean, there's some NIL guys going to that game being like, that motherfucker, some guy who owns a car dealership that, kicked in 20 grand for this stud quarterback, never got to see him play. And now he's going against Ohio State. They got to be seeing red, and crimson red. I actually, so my wife and I, we live close to the Rose Bowl. Was thinking of going to the game, and then we ended up just walking into Pasadena and hung out at a bar in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl, and it was hilarious because about say second quarter, a bunch of Oregon fans who clearly just said screw the game, but hey, we want to watch it just in case we end up coming back. And then Oregon State kind of had a couple plays there, but it was funny to see them, and it did feel gross rooting for Ohio State. But that's what happens when you're gambling on it. But Colby, what do you like here?
Yeah, it's a hammer spot for me on Ohio State. Like Texas, I don't think was very good against Arizona State. I think that was more of Arizona State beat. Arizona State had over 500 yards of offense. Like this is what the thing about Texas that I think has been hilarious is they had the number one defense before the playoffs started, but now, Clemson put up 400 and change on them. And if the game was not at Darrell K. Royal Stadium, I think Clemson probably would have won that game. But I think Ohio State's going to destroy them. Even though it'll be a Texas crowd, probably 60-40. I think I don't think Texas is that good of a football team. Like I really believe they had the best offensive line in football. They only rushed for 40 yards against Arizona State's defense, which is a bunch of transfers. Their juice.
I mean, Cam Scadaboo won the MVP for that game. And maybe this is the ultimate. I think the case for Texas, I understand, is like, hey, they're acting like they lost this game. This is the ultimate get up spot for Texas. It's easy for Sark to play this like nobody believes in us kind of angle. Ohio State just blew out, got the ultimate revenge game against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. I know this is for a semifinal game, but maybe it's tough for them to get up. I hear all that, but who wants to be betting on Quinn Ewers in this game? Like he just doesn't look like he has it. Sark, I questioned a ton of the play calling. And to your point, Colby, like I felt like they had so many advantages, personnel wise against Arizona State and just didn't take advantage.
Sark, I don't think Sark's a good coach. Okay, he's definitely got the program in a better state than it was. Some of that I think was the hire of the athletic director, but in big games, I am not impressed with Sark. Never have been. Whether it was USC, whether it was Washington, whether it's Texas, in big games for the most part. Okay, they got Bama the one time at Bama last season in the regular season, but for the most part, like I really feel like he gets out coached on a pretty regular level. So I just think Ohio State's they're the best team in the nation, dude. Break down every position, especially if Howard plays like this. The thing that was questionable before was Will Howard would turn the ball over some. And it was a questionable get, but he's looked really good in the playoffs. And Chip Kelly, I think, is beginning to trust throwing to his awesome wideouts, which I don't know why you didn't trust that. Ohio State's been great at wide receivers since like the fucking 1970s. I just don't think Texas's secondary, I don't think is as good as it was labeled. They just played like 8 backup quarterbacks or 7 backup quarterbacks. I think Ohio State will, and who do you trust more? Like I know Will Howard early in the year had some turnovers, but he's on fire right now. Quinn Ewers is all over the place. Quinn Ewers.
He looks so rough.
Credit to Ewers in overtime. But for a lot of that game, there's a lot of questionable balls. I think Ohio State wins by double digits.
Also worth noting, there's expected to be extreme weather. I know it's a dome game, but potentially this has some impact, like we saw with the Chiefs getting stuck on a runway. Probably more of an impact for the fans. It sounds like the area doesn't deal with ice and snow very well. So
did you guys see Gonzaga's plane come into LAX?
Yeah. Oh my God. They almost got blasted.
Really?
So they're taxiing and a larger jet basically almost goes right through them.
Oh, you know what? I did see that because I heard like the audio of the air traffic controller.
Yeah, that was Gonzaga.
Stop.
Yeah, that was Gonzaga's basketball team. But it does sound like maybe there could be some impact to the crowd in this one, which I'd imagine that would only impact people coming in from out of town. I
but Colby, I assume Texas will have the crowd to some degree, but I don't know. It feels like Ohio State. They traveled to Pasadena. Why would they not travel at least somewhat to this game?
They have a huge alumni base, so they're probably already there too.
But besides, like if you're comparing these teams, besides Texas's offensive line, Ohio State's better at every position.
And they look focused. They look pissed off. They look like they're gonna fuck everyone up. Honestly, it's gonna be the funniest shit ever because they wanted to fire Ryan Day.
And how do you feel about that Texas kicker now?
I mean, what are we in?
I mean, clearly they're so in his head. Like missing that was. I mean, this was a very funny. I was grabbing something from my car, and I was like, I put the TV on pause, and I go out to get something from my car. And my plumber, who is this crazy character. Did you ever meet that guy, Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a video once of him getting an argument with another plumber underneath my floor. I gotta tweet that out because they were trying to fix something underneath my house, and it's just like, Jeffrey, what are you doing? Come on, you always undercut me, Jeffrey. Anyway, this guy's a real crazy character. He had the windows rolled down, and he was listening to the game driving by on my street, and he just yells, he fucking missed it. He fucking missed the kick 22 yards. And I'm like, damn it. Cause now I hit pause. What were the odds? My plumber driving down the street with his windows down, screaming, he fucking missed it. I go, he
could have been a different game.
Like the most hilarious spoiler alert of all time. But yeah, to your point, if it's going to be close, you can't trust this kicker at all.
Okay. I let me update the weather. So there potentially could be 13 inches of snow in the
Texas?
area. Yeah. And they're expecting a slightly abnormal storm. I told you this earlier. I do a show out there, and I basically pushed my spot up earlier in the week because of the storm. Now I'm connecting the dots and realizing it's all the same thing. Interesting.
Yeah, I think if there is, I mean, you would imagine Ohio State a little more prepared for the cold than those Texas boys.
Well, it's a dome.
Blood.
It's a dome.
Yeah, it's Jerry's world.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
I'm just talking about travel and logistics.
I thought they were playing.
Jerry took this over a while ago.
Stupider. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think you. I'm
over. The over's the play too. The over is going to cash.
So we're
here.
going Ohio State. So we're going favorites with Ohio State, Texas over, and Penn State, Notre Dame under. That sounds like a plan. Discord gets a pick.
Discord does get one pick.
Horns down.
They're on Texas getting the 5.5
Horns down.
Officially lock and dog for me. Or Kramer, do you want to go first? What's your lock and dog here?
My lock is Notre Dame.
Okay.
Back to back.
What's your dog?
I mean, I don't have a dog, but I'll get creative. Do they have the early matchups where I can?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Or you could parlay. You give out a player prop.
Oh, that's actually what I'm going to do. Let's go back. We were looking at the touchdowns earlier. What's the right? We're going to go. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll go dog, Riley Leonard, first touchdown.
What's
it's
that?
Only 6-1.
That's crazy.
But
it's like Derrick Henry.
Watch I've been watching these first touchdowns from these college games.
Pretty chalky.
A little bit more predictable.
All right.
Like 4 people predicted. It's not quite the same fun. Although I will sprinkle the 100-1 no touchdown score.
I mean, for me, this is a super easy formula. Penn State on the money line for the dog, and Ohio State covers the 5.5 on the lock category.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Ohio State plays Notre Dame next week. What is the spread?
Ohio State plays Notre Dame. I would say I'd make it 4 on a neutral.
Colby?
I would make it like 7.
Yeah.
Higher.
Yeah.
Well, Notre Dame's future number is plus 425. Ohio State's is minus 125. It just seems like they're suggesting that I think that Ohio State is going to be laying like even bigger than what Colby said. Yeah.
Well, obviously they're a bigger favorite in this game to get there, so that's part of obviously the formula. But yeah, and again, how do they look in these games? I think if Notre Dame beats Penn State, that will certainly juice whatever people are ranking them.
What's their money line in this game? Let's see what this. I'm gonna do.
Minus 235.
I'm gonna figure this out.
So what would you? That almost seems like Ohio State at minus 125 to win it all is a pretty good price. Colby, what's your lock and what's your dog?
The lock is Ohio State. The dog, since I don't have anything, let's go with Faison. First touchdown plus 1,500. You know, they get creative with the way they use him. You know, sometimes he comes out of the backfield. I mean, they throw him in the slot. They throw wide receiver screens to him. So it's an intriguing play. And like I said, he's got 11 catches over the past two playoff games. So sprinkle a little bit on that.
I like that. I like a good first touchdown bet, and of course, download that DraftKings sportsbook. Get that sweet bonus there. Use the promo code SGP. Toss us a bone. Toss yourself a bone with the bonus bucks you get over there. Kramer, you're furiously doing some math over there.
I want to get the exact number. Minus 383 is what. So for Ohio State to be a minus 125. They're projecting, and we know it's minus 235 this round. It would be a minus 383.
Oh, so yeah, that would be at least 7 then, right?
Yeah, they're not going to be. My point is, they're not going to be laying. They're not going to lay 10 against Notre Dame, or
they cannot make it over a touchdown.
Which means there's probably value in Notre Dame or Penn State as a future, because they're virtually a pick.
What's Penn State future?
Plus 550.
Oh, okay. Well,
the Penn State one's interesting because of just the same reason why we took Ohio State was it was the second game against Oregon and they lost in heartbreaking fashion. Penn State was at the 1 yard line to almost beat Ohio State. Yeah.
Toss me a sprinkle on Penn State plus 550, which is annoying because Ryan, we're going to be out at the Circa on Friday. Our show will be airing pretty much right after Ohio State Texas ends. Check us out, YouTube TV, VSiN.com, and coming soon to Sirius as well. Penn State, I won't be able to get my paper ticket there. Future for Penn State.
One parting. I see they've opened a win total for next year. I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen this, Colby?
I have not.
They've opened up North Carolina. North Carolina over under 7.5 wins next year.
What are you doing, Colby? Chapel Bill first year.
Oh, definitely
follow the money. Give me higher. Give me the over. Yeah. Like,
really?
Well, just,
I mean, they're going to have a ton of money.
I mean, we need to see who they land in the portal, but I mean, the schedule's not incredibly brutal. So can you, I mean, Mac Brown was winning 7 or 8 with the same thing. So it's like, and they're investing way more money. Give me higher.
Open checkbook with UNC. I mean, look at Bill O'Brien. Look what he did. I mean, you bring in an NFL head coach that can whip some of these guys into shape, and you give him a blank checkbook for the roster. I mean, we've seen so many of these guys. Look at Dion. You give him a guy with like name brand recognition.
Would they win that first year?
They went over their win total. They smashed it.
Yeah, the win total.
So that was in the best conference in football, the Pac-12, as you clearly saw this season.
Also too, their roster was in a much different place. My point is like he maximized what they had, and
I got to see Belichick coaching college successfully before I'm willing to say he's going to be a successful college.
I think
his dad was a legend in college football, right? It's in the blood.
I think his tough guy bullshit might actually work in college. And maybe it had worn thin in the NFL.
Great coordinator. I can't comment on the coaching because I've never seen him be great without Tom Brady.
Well, we'll get a chance.
He made the playoffs once with the Browns.
Made the playoffs. Matt
Castle,
once.
They were 11-5. The Matt Castle year.
Making the playoffs once is not greatness. I'm just saying I haven't seen
with the Browns. With the Browns, that's fucking greatness.
Well, and also UNC going 8-4. No one's going to call that greatness.
It's true.
I mean, it's the ACC.
I just think this could go really bad.
It could, but I'd be kind of surprised. To Colby's point, like the roster they're going to be able to buy.
Those recruiting
part
pictures.
of his deal was like, hey, we get 20 million. I mean, the number 1 QB recruit. Now, obviously, he probably wouldn't be starting year 1, but he was just like, yeah, I gotta meet Mr. Belichick. Like the start and all these great recruits. Your goal is to get to the NFL. Bill Belichick, I think, has a good sales pitch to be like, hey, I know what it takes to get to the NFL. I know a lot of people in the NFL. Just imagine
none of that includes winning college football games. It includes getting ready for the NFL. Great point.
No, but if you're a college player and you're on the fence between picking schools, imagine you go to said school and then Bill Belichick is recommending you to owners, scouts in the NFL that he knows. That goes a long way to these guys.
And his coaching tree, although shitty in the NFL, has had some success in college with the exception of Charlie Weiss. Saban. There's this guy named Saban. He did pretty well.
Does he really count as a coaching tree?
Why? Well, he was the Browns defensive backs coach in DC.
I understand. But if you know,
what about Brett Bielema? You giving Bielema that credit?
Joe Judge, maybe. No, I do think Saban. Saban's.
How's his son Belichick? Wasn't he a decent coordinator?
He did last year. He did a good job. Good job. Yeah.
Well, we don't know what he did off the field. keep it. Which, by the way, speaking of that school, the offensive coordinator got fired from the Seahawks today.
Yeah,
Grubb.
That was kind of a shocking one. All right, hey, make sure you check out the College Experience, daily college basketball, getting you ready for the college football Final Four. Follow him on X at the Colby D. Check out the merch store. Bunch of great merch, and always doing some random bonus codes. Social 10% off everything for the DGens listening to the end of this episode. Kramer and I will be back tomorrow, possibly double header. We got the FFPC playoff challenge for the NFL and maybe a bonus Underdog fantasy playoff best ball draft, NFL picks on Wednesday, props on Thursday, VSiN show on Friday, and super wild card weekend. And of course,
thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Ryan Day, lifetime extension.
Kramer, let it ride.